Hey everybody. Uh-oh, hang on everybody. I hear some noise. Hang on one moment. Hello, hello. Okay. I have no clue of what that was. I think my Zoom was on and maybe the sound resonated. Maybe the Zoom wants to check in on what we're talking about today. But everybody, I am Valerie R. Brooks, owner of Valerie R. Brooks Real Estate and Business Academy. My live talks are getting more and more interesting. Thank God, to our listeners and to us. And we've gotten a lot of inquiries asking what was, how did I matriculate through the real estate world? How did it start? And on top of that, I am writing a book, and we've decided collectively, my team and I, to share with you my real world of real estate story. Okay. And I'm going to share with you my real estate start, um, how I came into who I am in the real estate world. Now, I'm not going to be able to tell you this in 30 minutes, but we're going to have several segments ongoing into all the other lives, okay? And I'm so very, very excited about that. Now, my story is real and raw. Some of it's really hard to believe. Sometimes I look back and I'm in shock myself. But it's just picture this: it's the early days as a young Black woman stepping into a white male dominated real estate industry 26 years ago. Now, I was only 10, okay? Y'all remember that. I was only 10. But here goes. Let me turn this fan off. I think that's flaring up my allergies here. Okay. Now, again, my start was not easy. Um, the real estate world was accustomed to women starting to infiltrate the real estate world at that time, but those women did not look like me. I had interruptions that tried to derail me, and I never stopped moving forward. Okay. I endured people who intentionally tried to disrupt my success. See, I didn't have a battle with myself as so many of my clients and so many people that I speak to or hear about have. I had a battle with external factors, external, not internal factors. And I endured a lot. I had no blueprint, but I tell you what I had. I had supportive parents, smart parents, and I had a very supportive spouse at that time. But here's what really saved me throughout all this time and throughout all the trauma inside that real estate world. And that's self awareness. How often do I talk about self awareness? Many, many times, right? I was aware enough to know what kind of support I needed, even when I couldn't find it. And that's when I started jotting down everything. Self awareness taught me how to navigate a world that wasn't designed for me. I designed my own world. As a matter of fact, I've designed a journal with journal prompts for you. For those of you who are new to journaling or need journaling prompts, if you click on the link to the membership, I think, or either the webinar link, the journal prompts are there too. So that's a big plus today. I just had to tell you that since the word journaling came up. Let's start off with, in that world that wasn't designed for me, I knew how to ask for the right help. And most importantly, I knew who to ask and what to invest in. And it was because I watched. I looked around me. I You probably don't believe this, but I'm a very quiet person. I'm very observant. And I think I told you I love listening. I'm a very active listener. And I just watched and I learned who to listen to, who not to listen to, who to watch that I observed watching me. And I even observed those who paid me no attention at all. And all of that mattered. So I moved from the city of Black excellence, Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta was a place that fueled my ambition. It fueled my pride at every turn in being a Black woman. And in Atlanta, I was surrounded by culture, opportunity, and community where Black success was celebrated. I love my city. I absolutely adore it. I wanted to stay in my city and grow there. But being my plans weren't God's plans, I followed my dreams. And then my husband, who was my spouse at the time, I followed him and I followed my dreams to Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, don't get me wrong, Charlotte is beautiful. It's beautiful today, filled with growth and progress. But back then, it wasn't quite the city you know now. And through my eyes, these are through my eyes. You got to realize what I came from. So through my eyes, it did not have the Black progression. It did not have the same movement of Black progression or a strong sense of community that I had grown so used to. And it felt very, very strange to me. I begged my then spouse, please take me back home. I don't like it here. And he and several of my mentors said, hang in there, Valerie. And I'm so glad I did. And what I did tell myself when we were in the process of moving, I said, okay, self, I have a tendency to talk to myself because there are three selves in us. And I'll share that with you a little bit later. I told myself, new city, right? New dreams, or add on to your dreams, and new opportunities. And I was determined to build something great here in Charlotte, North Carolina. But let me tell you, it did not take long for reality to set in. So I'm going to start you with my first day in real estate sales. Well, I did not interview with a bunch of companies. I chose the first company that chose me. It was simple as that. I knew my mission and I didn't have the wherewithal to weigh my opportunities. I took the first one that had a great sound, and I don't regret it. I don't regret it. And I went for it. And in there, I made Rookie of the Year, and I'll not tell you the rest from that point because we're only at the first day. You know how my mind gets ahead of my mouth. So again, I chose the first company that chose me. I was excited and I was ready to take on the world. My broker in charge welcomed me with what I now recognize as well-meaning, but it was a very telling introduction. And see, all of this is coming up as I write my book. She said, "You're so articulate and pretty. You'll do well." Mind you, not a word about skills needed or my skills or my drive or my potential in real estate or giving me any background that I may have needed to bring into this world, just articulate and pretty. And that was it. Then she gave me a quick tour of the building and told me that the next team meeting would be whatever day it was at that time. And she stated, I'll introduce you to the entire team. It was a pretty nice size organization. So I'm going to fast forward to that team meeting. I walked in, as again, I sat quietly. I was observing and I was just taking it in because this was so new to me. Investing in real estate was not new to me, but sales, it was so new to me. I stepped off of an airplane of being a flight attendant into a real estate office, okay? I was newlywed, everything. It was also new to me and I was so excited. So nothing too overwhelming happened at the meeting until it ended. As I was leaving the building, one of the older white male agents noticed my new car. It was a convertible BMW, and it was parked outside. I stopped in it to get a notebook, and I was going to head to the office and get prepared to take the tour. This guy stopped dead in his tracks. He looked at me up and down, and said, "How did you get this car? You've just started selling real estate." And y'all, I'll never forget the tone of that question. He wasn't curious, it was more suspicious. And I smiled at him and I looked at him straight in the eye and I said, "I may be new to real estate, but I'm not new to life, dude. It just doesn't flow like that." And that's where I had to introduce my conscious minds to my subconscious mind, because at that moment, the uh, Atlanta bred 15-year-old would have said something totally different. Okay. But when he asked me that question, my conscious mind kicked in first. And it said to me, "Smile and be calm. Don't let him see he rattled you." But my subconscious mind whispered something much deeper. Hold on to that moment, not to dwell on it, but to stay aware. This is the world you're stepping into, and you'll need to navigate it with both eyes open. I refuse to store it into my unconscious mind. And for those of you that do not have a grasp of conscious, subconscious, and unconscious mind, I do. I teach a course. And as a matter of fact, in our portal, there's a course on it. And let me tell you, the more I grew and the more I've learned about the subconscious, unconscious, and conscious mind from my cognitive therapist, from my courses on brain therapy, I have a great transformational leader that teaches
Hamilton Gigi.
That teaches. I'm turning my phone off, guys. I forgot to turn it off. But I've learned about a lot about the subconscious and unconscious and conscious mind. And I realized even back then, I was aware of what I was aware of, but I didn't have an exact terminology for it. So when I talked to my subconscious mind and told it, you can hold on to that moment, but we're not going to dwell on it, because I didn't want to store it into my unconscious mind, because the unconscious mind is where you hold your doubts and fears and things like that. And I didn't want to take that statement, okay, and put it there. So instead, I chose to take that statement, I archived it, okay, not as a wound, not as hurt, but as a reminder. And that's how I learned how to start paying attention to my every movement. I knew I couldn't carry every comment with me, but I could catalog it, okay? And have it ready to call when needed. Okay, you get that? So the next day, I joined the home tours with the other agents. That used to be so thrilling to me, because we'd all go visit everyone's listings. And in this remote world, that's not happening a whole lot, but I think we should start that back. Okay. So I joined the home tours with the other agents, watching and listening, taking mental notes like a detective, like a detective. Every move, every interaction became a lesson for me. I observed who commented in the room, who whispered in the corner, and who barely acknowledged my presence. So later that afternoon, after the home tour, they showed me my little cubby hole and my little workspace. It wasn't much, but I was so happy to see it. My sister and I set it up together. I was so proud. It felt like the start of something special. And that following day, my then husband, surprised me with a big bouquet of roses to celebrate my new venture. He sent it to the office, and when they called me down, I was so excited to get my flowers. I had no idea, but I grabbed the flowers. I was preparing to call him and crying in the phone and tell him how great he was. And I carried the roses back to the office, but on my way to my cubbyhole, I stopped into the agent room to check my mail. And lo and behold, another white male agent stopped me in my tracks. He said, "Hang on a minute, Valerie." And he looked at the roses and then at me and asked with genuine shock. I could see he was serious. I knew that he was serious. And he said, "Wait a minute. Are you married?" And I smiled and said, "Yes, I am." And he paused and kind of held his head like this. And in a tone of complete amazement, he said, "Wow, I thought all Black women were single mothers." Can you imagine all the thoughts that were going through my head? It was so many thoughts on so many levels that I could have just spouted out to him many things in 5 minutes, in 30 minutes. I had so many moving parts inside my head, and it was so many that I froze. I literally froze. And I'm rarely speechless, but I was speechless. And I remember saying to my conscious mind, "Don't show him your shock. Don't give him the reaction he's looking for." And in my subconscious mind, I said, "Keep this, archive it. You'll need this later, not to hold you back, but to fuel your life." I did not respond to him. I looked at him in disgust and I just walked away. Sometimes it's better not to respond. And I'll tell you later on in years, he even remembered that. And I'm going to say 3 years later, he came back and apologized to me. That I just didn't respond. But I tell you what, I archived this again, not to hold me back, but to fuel my fire. And fuel my fire, it did. That was the moment I understood just how many stereotypes and judgments I would face in this industry. But it was also the moment my self worth grew stronger than ever, stronger than ever. And when I started archiving those negative statements, I stored them in my subconscious as armor, not doubt and not fear, but armor to fuel my fire and keep me aware of what I was up against. I was not afraid on any points. I was not afraid. I was lit. My fire was lit. I made a conscious choice, again, not to let the negativity seep into my unconscious mind. I didn't want to store them as permanent beliefs or reference points that could shape my self worth or limit my potential. Now, this is just the first 2 days. Y'all hear that? This is just the first 2 days of my being with that company. And there is so much that I'm going to share with you all, but I want to let you know that it was not self doubt that could have derailed me. It was not internal factors that could have derailed me. It was external factors that could have derailed me. But I didn't let it happen. I refused to let it happen. Now, I do want to tell you that, again, that's the first 2 days, and I have many, many more. And I'm looking at the time, and I do have questions here. So I want y'all to keep in mind what I just shared with you. That was microaggression at its best, right? Microaggression. I can't remember. Here I go. Microaggression, I think. Yeah, at its finest. Back then, I didn't know what that was, or I didn't know how to term it. But I knew it wasn't right, and I archived it. I didn't keep it as doubt. And I thank those two gentlemen, first 2 days, for doing that for me, not to me, for me. I turned that challenge into an opportunity to open Valerie Albert's Real Estate and Business Academy and teach people like me how to walk in greatness in this real estate arena. So I have some questions and I'm going to have some answers for you. And I'm going to check the questions out. Okay. Valerie, how do you stay grounded when the world around you constantly tries to define who you are? That is a wonderful, wonderful question. I'm going to start that one off with my first statement. If we're speaking of me, and I can share things with you, I've never had feelings of FOMO, and that's feeling of missing out. I've never felt the innate need to belong anywhere. I've always gone where I've been celebrated. So staying grounded starts with knowing who you are, just like I said before. The world tells you to tell you you're otherwise. Don't let those external factors seep into you to try and let you know who you are, because they don't know. They don't know. That guy who thought that all black women were single mothers, which is not a negative, but the fact that he thought it, that showed me that he didn't know. I knew. So it had nothing to do with me. And my daughter told me at the age of 14, one day when we were having a conversation about others and their opinions on some things with her in her classes, her response to me was, that is on them, has nothing to do with me. So self awareness has been my anchor. I constantly remind myself of my values, my strengths, and my purpose. I don't try to fit into spaces where I'm not valued. Trust me, that's uncomfortable. Uncomfortable. You're trying to fit somewhere you're not valued. I create my own spaces. I constantly remind myself who I am. I journal. I surround myself with the right people. And all of that keeps me rooted where when life gets noisy. Okay? And speaking of journal, I have created a wonderful, I think it's 100 and maybe it's 97 pages or 107 pages journal prompts. It teaches you how to design your life. It is wonderful. And click on the link to the webinar that's coming up, or either the membership. I get it mixed up. My team just told me which one it was, but just click on the link, and I think it's to the membership. Yeah, it is. And it will share the journey with you, as well as the date for the webinar. I think you get a journal once you join the membership. Just click on the link for me and find out. I'm working so hard on these courses that all the technology, I really can't keep up. And that's why I have a super duper team that does. Now, the second question is, how do you turn negative experiences into growth opportunities? Well, I sort of answered that, and I'm going to say it a different way. I archive every experience that I had. I don't delete, I archive, but I don't carry it around as emotional baggage. Again, I just keep them as reminders. And instead of letting harsh comments or setbacks define me, I ask myself, what did this teach me? Because I don't even ask why it happened. I've never been a why me person. And I encourage all of you not to be a why me person, because as life be life. And I don't think there's such a thing as why me, because the world is open. Now, again, what this teaches me is that growth is about reflection and course correction, right? It's about self correcting, course correcting, and moving forward. It's also an opportunity to refine your strategy and push forward with even more clarity. And clarity is huge. I've learned that I've had to explain the details of my membership in order for anybody to see the value. So, Valerie, how do you manage your time when life feels overwhelming? The answer to that is, I've learned, this is amazing, and I teach this in my time management courses. Time management is less about perfect scheduling. Because in real estate, there's no perfect day, and your day doesn't always go as scheduled. And it's more about intentional choices. So I prioritize what matters most. And when life gets overwhelming, I pause and I realign and I use my 3 months rule, my first three, and that's focus on the three things that I must get done, and I let the rest follow. I also build in buffer time because life be life, and right? It's gonna keep moving. And we have to allot for life to happen. And we have to allow for grace. I hope this is making sense to you. Because even as I talk, it makes more sense to me, even as I say it. So number 5, I think this is the fifth. Is that the fifth question? Have I already said? Yeah, how do you turn negative experience into growth? Okay. How do you manage? Yeah. Okay, I'm on number 5. How do you know when it's time to walk away from toxic environments or relationships? Oh my goodness, I love this question, and I remember I was speaking to a panel of about 250 agents once, and um, I told them, and it shocked everybody. And I said, "Now, real estate if you think real estate, everybody you meet in real estate is going to be Glinda the White Witch." That's the beautiful Glinda. I think it's in the Wizard of Oz, all peace and serenity and all of that. That's not the way it's going to be. You're not going to be tiptoeing through anybody's tulips. You're going to be navigating as I've always said, a moving animal, a beast that has movements. It's a wonderful beast as long as you know how to navigate it. I still love it. I love real estate so much so that I've started yet another path in real estate, and that's commercial real estate and coaching. So the first, I guess I'll answer that question to you, Carla, is when your peace becomes a constant battle, it's time to step back. Now, in real estate, you are probably going to encounter every mental health disorder in the world, depending on how much you work. It's just like all ranges of people purchase houses. All there's no way to section off and discount people that will not be able to purchase a house. So if you're going to meet every human being in this world, just remember all human beings do not match up to humanity. A human being is a species, and you have to learn how to navigate that, as well as you have to realize you're a human being and how you want to treat whomever you're working with in this real estate relationship. I've learned to trust my gut and not ignore red flags. Red flags are not just in husband, wife, or boyfriend, girlfriend, or friends relationships. Red flags occur everywhere you go, and you have to monitor your red flags in your work world, your personal world, every world you walk into. You have to trust your gut and not ignore red flags. I was, in my earlier years, I wanted to ignore red flags, but each time I ignored a red flag, it bit me. Okay. You cannot thrive in spaces that demand you to shrink. There is no way you can survive in spaces that demand for you to shrink. So give yourself permission to leave what no longer serves you. Uh, there are many things that drove me to make a departure from the first space of my real estate sales journey. We'll get into all of that as we go along. Now, how do the conscious and subconscious mind work together to build resilience? Now, that's a loaded question. And it's so loaded that that's another course we've added to the portal. But I will say to you that your conscious mind helps you to make real-time decisions about how to respond. It's the top. It's on the top. And while your subconscious holds the beliefs and lessons that drive you long term, it if you archive it, you use it for strength. So it's reminders that take you the long way. And when they're aligned, you become unstoppable. Now, the conscious mind is what we really have to be careful of, because the conscious mind protects you, and it protects you in the moment, and it stores your doubts and your fears and your beliefs. And that's the mind that can hold you back. Okay. So while the subconscious mind keeps you motivated by reminding you of your resilience and your wins. I hope you understand that. You can email us at teams@coachingwithvalerie.academy if you have any more questions. What's the biggest lesson you've learned about resilience? My answer is, this is, oh my, y'all, I cannot say I've just learned this recently, but it was so bright and huge in front of me that I had an aha moment, because I don't care how long you've been in a business or how old you are blessed to live. You cannot know everything. Resilience is not about being unbreakable. It's about knowing how to rebuild every time life knocks you down. I asked my godmother the other day, did she ever have any life knockdown moments? And she said, not really. But when we talked about it, she did have some life knockdown moments, but she overcame them. Because when she said that to me, I I became a little bit perturbed, and I said, well, how can one, there are so many people that may not have knockdown moments, huh? And after we talked, I said, you know what? Everybody has knockdown moments according to their lives. So, whatever your knockdown moment is, your knockdown moment may not be a knockdown moment for me, or my knockdown moment may not be a knockdown moment to you. But the lesson there is, give yourself grace during the process and start rebuilding. Don't rush the comeback. You have to reflect, and you have to rebuild, and you have to remind yourself that every experience is a part of your growth story. Every experience. How can you prevent negative experiences from settling into your unconscious mind? Um, the key to that is to process those experiences in your conscious mind first. You've got to acknowledge them. You've got to look at them in the face. You've got to look at them in the face. And then reflect on the lesson, and then decide how you want to carry them forward. It's not a minute thought. It's a process. It's a process. And when a life occurrence happens, I don't just brush it off. Again, I archive it. I don't store it. I just put it to the side. I look at it, I put it to the side. I keep it there for the purpose that is there. If it's a reminder to remind me to fuel my fire, I move toward that. If it's a reminder for me to um, not let anyone's ill intentions affect me or set me back, that's a great reminder. But I don't store it, again, as I said earlier, as doubt, fear, or anything negative that could hold you back from your growth. And again, the subconscious is for awareness, not as baggage, okay? And don't let it sink into your unconscious mind. Now, how did I do that? Again, you know what? If you let this store into your unconscious mind, I call that the danger zone. That's a very dangerous area, because that's your holdback area. So I'm trying to describe this in many different ways so that it could seep into many different minds, because everybody hears and learns differently. I love journaling, and I've gotten pretty good at reframing my thoughts because I learned that a lot of times your first thought is always negative. I think I read that somewhere too. I've reframed that. I can't say that I can say that my first thought has always been negative, but I think I read that somewhere. I heard the conversation somewhere, but I let go of everything that doesn't serve me. And um, when you let go of that's a powerful way to keep anything negative from taking root. You're human. It's going to come in there. It's going to come in that subconscious. I call that the belly of it. It's going to come in there. I mean, your unconscious mind. It's going to get in there, but don't let it take root. You're human. It's going to come in, but don't let those roots grow. I got root growing up out of my yard right now. I've got to take out of my. It's a root on my tree, and it's disturbing the yard. So I got to fix that. I might need some help in fixing that, and I am. I have a landscaper coming over here helping me fix that root that's disrupting my yard. So if you have trouble disrupting your roots, you get help. You go and you get help. And with that, I will also share with you who eventually became my mentors and my coaches. And you're going to be surprised in the next live to learn that it was an older white gentleman and he had biracial children. So he knew my plight, and it was an older Black gentleman. And I'm going to share the stories with you on what they said to me and how they helped to shape my world. Now, before I go, I want you guys to know that I go way deeper in everything we just talked about, from real estate strategies to time management, to the conscious and unconscious mind. All of this matters. If you ever feel stuck or like your mind is playing tricks on you, these courses will help to open your eyes. I am trying to give you guys a whole full view of our membership because it's the perfect way to stay connected and get real-time strategies without breaking the bank. Most courses and memberships like mine cost anywhere from $8,000 to $35,000. That's not a joke. That's not an exaggeration. And they normally last 3, 6, maybe if 9 months, if that long. But you can join the membership as a essential at $59 prescription, and as a builder for a $99 monthly subscription. And trust me, it's power packed, and you're going to have these modules and these conversations and these Q&As, recordings of everything, of the live Q&As, of speaking with live industry experts, and these courses that are continuously upgraded. You'll always have them from reference. I have one new agent that's going through it now, and the way we're rocking it now, I know after her 12th month, we're going to be hiring her an assistant. Okay? I enjoyed this conversation. I cannot wait to tell you more about how I navigated the real estate world with external and internal factors that could have derailed me, but I refuse to let them derail me. And these two examples that I gave you today are just the very minute tip of the iceberg. Just remember, it was my first 2 days. My first 2 days. Okay? Guys, have a great one. Make it a great one. And I'll see you either in the membership, which there is a link for it, or at the next live.